At 10:47, the night before my flight, my mother called and said, "You're not going tomorrow. Melissa is dropping the kids at your apartment in 20 minutes. When I said I'd already checked in, my father grabbed the phone and said, "Then let them sit outside your door until you learn that family comes first." I wish I could tell you they were bluffing. They weren't. My name is Claire, and for 4 years, my husband Ethan and I saved for one trip. Not a luxury lifestyle. Not designer bags. Not weekends away. One trip, we skipped birthdays out, cancelled anniversaries, worked overtime, sold things we loved, and counted every dollar into an envelope hidden in the back of our closet. Ethan drove rideshare after his warehouse shifts. I picked up extra weekends at the paediatric clinic until my feet throbbed so badly I cried in the shower. We didn't save for a vacation because we were spoiled. We saved because life had been cruel. And we wanted one memory that didn't taste like survival. And if you're watching this right now, tell me what city you're watching from down in the comments, because I need you to stay with me on this one. What happened next still doesn't feel real. That trip was supposed to be our reset. 2 years earlier, Ethan had torn a ligament at work. The surgery ate through our savings. A year after that, I lost my grandmother, the only person in my family who ever looked at me like I was a person instead of a backup plan. Through all of it, my parents had one rule for me. Be dependable, be useful, be the calm one, be the daughter who never says no. My older sister Melissa knew that better than anyone. To strangers, Melissa was charming, soft voice, perfect makeup. The kind of mother who posted matching pajamas and handwritten lunchbox notes online. But behind closed doors, she treated people like furniture. Useful when needed, invisible when not. She had 2 kids, Oliver and Poppy, both sweet, both always a little too quiet when adults raised their voices. Melissa used them like social currency and emotional blackmail. If she wanted a night out, I was Aunt Claire, the natural with children. If I hesitated, I was selfish, cold, punishing her for being a mother. Claire has more flexibility, my mother Diane would say, as if my life were made of empty space. Your sister is overwhelmed, my father Ron would add, as if being child-free meant being burden-free. What they never said out loud was the part that mattered most. Melissa was allowed to demand. I was expected to absorb. And the week before our flight, Melissa started circling. First, it was a casual text. "You sure you need 10 days? Seems excessive." Then another. "Mom said you have plenty saved. Must be nice." Then the real one. "Troy surprised me with a couple's weekend. I need you to take the kids Thursday through Sunday." Our flight was Thursday morning. I typed back, "I can't. We'll be at the airport." She left me on red for an hour, then replied, "Seriously?" That one word told me everything. I was folding laundry when Mom called that night. Not to ask, to assign. "You can go later," she said. "Melissa needs help now." I laughed once because I thought maybe, for the first time in my life, my family had finally become so unreasonable it would sound ridiculous even to them. It didn't. "Mom, we've saved for 4 years, and your sister has 2 children." "That's not my fault." Silence. Then the sharp inhale she used before punishment. "Family sacrifices for each other." I looked at Ethan across the room. He had gone completely still. I said, "Funny how the sacrifice is always mine." That was when Dad took the phone and gave me that line I still hear in my sleep. "Then let them sit outside your door until you learn that family comes first." My stomach dropped so hard I had to sit down. I called Melissa immediately. No answer. Called again. Voicemail? Then a text came through. "You're not serious enough yet." Not serious enough, as if my life was a lesson she planned to teach with somebody else's children. Ethan grabbed his keys and said, "We're going to your place now, because here's the part I haven't told you yet." We weren't home. We were at a cheap airport hotel near long-term parking, trying to make our early flight easier and save gas. My apartment building was 40 minutes away. The whole drive back, my hands shook so badly I couldn't unlock my phone. I kept imagining Oliver standing in that hallway holding Poppy's hand, both of them confused, both of them thinking I had chosen not to open the door, but when we got there the hallway was empty. No kids, no bags, no Melissa, just a text from Mom. "See? Drama. You always overreact, that should have calmed me." Instead, it terrified me more, because it meant they had tested the threat just to watch me jump. Ethan checked the locks. I checked the spare key lockbox. Gone. I stared at that tiny, empty hook on the wall and understood something ugly. This had been planned. I'd taken my key back from Melissa months earlier after cash disappeared from my kitchen drawer during one of her emergencies. After that, I'd installed a doorbell camera and changed the building access code. Quietly, without telling anyone. A decision that seemed small at the time, it would become the reason my life didn't get destroyed. Still, that night, I nearly gave in. Mom called again just after midnight. "Melissa is crying," she said. "She never gets help from anybody." I almost choked. "I have raised her children for free for years. You don't know what it's like to be a mother." "No," I said. "But I know what it's like to be used." Then I hung up. My whole body was shaking. Not because I wasn't sure, because that's the damage people like that do. Even when you finally say no, they make you feel guilty for having a life they can't control. At the airport, Melissa sent one last message. "If you get on that plane, don't expect things to be the same when you come back." I showed Ethan. He looked at me and said, very quietly, "That's the point, Claire. They can't stay the same." So I boarded anyway, and for the first 3 hours of the flight, I couldn't breathe normally. Every time the seatbelt sign blinked off, I checked my phone in airplane mode, like some miracle signal might reach me. Every time a child cried in the cabin, I thought of Oliver and Poppy. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard my father saying, "Let them sit outside your door." When we landed in Rome, my phone lit up so fast it looked like it was on fire. 38 missed calls, 12 voicemails, 9 texts from Mom, 6 from Dad, 7 from Melissa. And the last one, sent 14 minutes earlier, said only, "They're at your door." I went cold. There are moments when your body understands danger before your brain can form the thought. My knees actually weakened. I sat down on the floor near baggage claim while people rolled suitcases around me, speaking in languages I couldn't process, and all I could see were 2 children abandoned in a hallway because I had dared to choose myself. Then my neighbour Tasha texted, "Police came. Kids are safe. Call me now." "I have never pressed call so fast in my life," Tasha answered on the first ring. "Claire, listen carefully. They're okay. Security found them sitting outside your apartment around midnight with backpacks. Oliver said his mom told them to wait because Aunt Claire needed to learn a lesson." I covered my mouth so hard my teeth cut into my palm. Tasha kept talking. "Melissa had already left. Your parents were there too, at least at first. Security checked the cameras. Claire, it's all on video." Everything around me went silent, not because the airport was quiet, because the truth had finally arrived. Ethan crouched in front of me as I put Tasha on speaker. She told us building management had called police immediately. The children were taken to a family response unit, not a station. Safe, fed, warm. Their father, Daniel, had been contacted, Daniel, Melissa's ex, the man my family called unreliable because he refused to keep financing Melissa's chaos. That was the first crack in her perfect image. The next crack came 10 minutes later when I called Ava, Ethan's cousin, a family lawyer back in Manchester who had handled child neglect cases. I was crying so hard I could barely speak, but the second she heard the words, "They left them outside my apartment," her voice changed. "Claire, do not go back. Do not answer them emotionally. Save everything." So I sent her everything, the texts, the voicemails, the missed calls, the threats. Then building management emailed the footage. And this is the part that made me physically sick. At 11:32 p.m, Melissa walked into the hallway dragging 2 children half asleep in socks and hoodies. Mom followed carrying a pink backpack. Dad set down a small suitcase. Oliver asked, "Where's Aunt Claire?" Melissa leaned down, looked straight at my door and said, "On a plane because she cares more about herself than family." "Sit here." Poppy started crying. My mother said, "She'll come back once she sees this." Then all 3 of them walked away, not in panic, not in confusion, in confidence. Like they had just made a smart move. Ava called back 20 minutes later. "They've destroyed themselves," she said. "This isn't your shame. This is evidence." From there, everything collapsed exactly the way it should have. Because Melissa had filed a false report first, claiming I had agreed to babysit and abandon the children. But the timestamps on the video, the airport records, the hotel receipt, and her own texts buried that lie so deep it never surfaced again. Then Daniel stepped in, and here came the twist nobody in my family saw coming. While Melissa spent years telling everyone Daniel was unstable, he had quietly kept every custody exchange, every missed pickup, every drunken voicemail. Every weekend, she dumped the kids on relatives and called it self-care. He wasn't absent. He was documenting. Waiting for the moment he could prove the children were safer with him, my family had mocked the wrong person. By the end of that week, Daniel had emergency temporary primary custody. Melissa got supervised visitation only. My parents were formally warned for participating in child abandonment and lying to authorities. And when Melissa tried to save face online by posting, some people choose vacations over family. Daniel's attorney released the security stills to the court. Her confidence turned to confusion. Confusion turned to panic. Panic turned into 47 calls from blocked numbers, sobbing voicemails, and one message from Dad that said, "You've made your point. Drop this before it ruins your sister's life." That message broke something open in me. Ruins her life? Not one person in my family had asked what this had done to Oliver, to Poppy, to me. So for the first time in my life, I answered without trembling. "I'm not ruining her life. I'm refusing to carry it." Then I blocked them, all of them. The silence after that was so strange, it almost felt dangerous. I kept waiting for more pounding, more guilt, more punishment. But what came instead was sunrise over Rome, Ethan taking my hand on a cobblestone street, and my body slowly realising that nobody could reach through an ocean and drag me back into a role I never chose. I still thought about the kids every day of that trip. I still cried for them. But I also spoke to Daniel, and for the first time, I heard relief in the background of their voices. Stability. Bedtimes. Safety. No one using them as leverage. And when we came home, I didn't go back to the old version of my life. I changed my locks again, changed my emergency contacts, started therapy. And when my mother mailed me a letter that said, "Families forgive," I wrote 5 words on the envelope and sent it back unopened. Families don't do this. That was 8 months ago. Melissa's marriage to Troy didn't survive the court mess. My parents still tell people I overreacted, but fewer people believe them now. Funny what happens when the footage exists. Funny what happens when the dependable daughter finally stops protecting everybody else's lies. As for me, Ethan and I framed one photo from that trip. Not the cathedral, not the hotel, not the perfect sunset, a blurry airport selfie. Both of us exhausted, my eyes swollen from crying, his arm around my shoulders like he was holding me together, because that was the real beginning. Not the trip, the boundary. So if you've ever been told that love means surrendering your plans, your peace, or your dignity to keep toxic people comfortable, hear me clearly. That isn't love. That's control wearing a family face. And the moment you stop obeying it, they will call you cruel, selfish, cold. Let them. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is refuse to help people hurt you again. What would you have done in my place? Do you think my parents and sister deserved a second chance after using those children like that? Tell me in the comments. And while you're there, tell me what city you're watching from. If this story hit you in the chest, like, share, and subscribe, because some stories aren't just about revenge. They're about the exact moment a person realizes they were never asking for too much. They were just asking the wrong people.